Hi everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm a little nervous, but I think everybody is their first time doing their videos and stuff. I'm Lala Fab Single Mom, and this is my first video to YouTube. So I really wanted to do a video focusing. Well, let me start over. This channel will mostly be movie reviews, story times, basically anything that I find interesting that I would like to talk about or that I think you guys might want to hear. But my first video, I really wanted to do something really personal and really open and something that I know will help a lot of people. So as you can tell by the title, this is my anxiety slash depression story. It's really hard to open up about this topic, but I really want to help save someone else or just what I went through and how I overcame it. If me telling this story helps you to overcome what you're going through, then I'll feel really good about myself. So that's going to be my first introduction into the YouTube world. So I hope you guys will learn and gain something from this, and I just really hope that it'll help you in your life. And if you're going through the same thing, just know that you are not alone. You're not alone at all. So growing up, I never really dealt with anxiety or depression. I had a pretty normal childhood. I had friends. I had a happy life. I had a great mom. Everything was perfect. I didn't understand the disease. I didn't understand it being something mentally wrong with you. I always thought people who were depressed, that they were basically just complaining about life and they needed to get over it. I mean, if you're depressed, find a way to feel happy. I mean, this was my thinking about it. I didn't understand. I had family members who had mental illnesses and I judged them because to me, life was simple enough where if you were going through something, just work through it, get over it, and be happy. That was always my take on life. I didn't understand that there was a mental aspect to it, and that when you're sick like that, you can't just get over it and be happy. No matter how many times people say get over it, be happy, just work through it. It's something that is mentally wrong with you that you are not in control of. And until you go through it, you don't understand that. You don't get it. You don't even begin to comprehend what a person is going through unless you've been through it yourself. So like I said, I had never been through anything like that. I didn't have any anxiety. I didn't have any depression. I was just a normal, happy person. So, right around the time I turned 24, I got pregnant and I had a little baby girl. Best thing I ever did. She's 4 years old now, and about 3 months after I gave birth to her. Now, let me just give you a little background. Me and her dad weren't in the best type of situation. I mean, we've known each other a long time, but having a baby wasn't really in the cards for us. So I kind of had her with the intention of being a single mom, and that's what happened. And after I had her, I had to go back to work because I work for a living. I don't have anyone to take care of me. So 6 weeks after giving birth, I had to go right back to work. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her, or I didn't get to be or rest because I had a really hard labor. I had a C-section and excuse me, and I got sick. I got an infection. They were pumping me full of so much medication. That's a whole nother story. And I ended up being in the hospital for 5 days. She was in the NICU for like a week. She had to get antibiotics. I couldn't take her home. I had to go home without her. It was just really crazy. But add on to that, a hard labor, a difficult relationship with her dad, not being in the best financial situation, and also not really having being able to afford daycare. All of these stresses were on top of me, and I had to go back to work. So I found somebody to take care of her. It wasn't a stable situation, but hey, it worked out for the moment. About 3 months after giving birth, I was at work one day, a normal day. It wasn't anything different or anything crazy about that day. I woke up, I got dressed, I put on my wig, put on a little bit of makeup, I dropped her off at where she was staying, and I went to work. It was nothing weird about that day. And I was sitting at my desk, and I just started to feel, I can't even describe. I just started to feel really weird. Like this sensation came over me, like I felt like I was going to pass out. So I'm sitting at my desk, and the computer screen starts to get blurry, like it's trying to go away, and I feel like things are on top of my head, like the world is just going like this. And I'm just like, okay, what the hell is going on? I didn't drink anything, I didn't smoke anything, I'm completely sober. So what you do in that moment when you start to feel that, you start to panic. So I start like panicking, like, oh my gosh, I'm looking down, like, am I dying? What the hell is going on? Is something wrong with me? What? So I'm like, it'll pass. Just breathe in, breathe out. I tried to calm myself. I mean, I'm at my desk. I'm working in a government facility. So I'm at my desk, and I'm feeling this sensation come over me. So I tried to let it pass, and it wouldn't pass. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like, I was just like, oh my fucking God, like, am I about to pass out? This is what I'm feeling. So when you are afraid that you're about to lose consciousness, your heart starts beating really fast. That's where the panic sets in. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I get up because I'm like, I need to walk this shit off. I need to get out. I need to walk this off. I need to be okay. So I start walking around my building. I run outside and just start walking around. I'm just walking. It's cold as shit outside. And I'm walking. I'm like, slowly it keeps getting worse and worse. The world feel like it's disappearing around me. And I'm like, shit, what the hell is wrong with me? Is this what death feels like? And the more that thought comes in your mind, like, damn, is this how it feels to cross over to the other side? You start to freak out. Like, you start to think, I'm dying. This is it. This is how it's going to end for me. So I started running around, and it wasn't getting better. It was just getting worse. And my mom at the time, she worked in the same building as I did. So I found her, and I'm like, Mom, something's wrong with me. And she's like, what's wrong? What is wrong with you? What's going on? You look fine. I mean, what's wrong? I'm like, Mom, I feel like I'm about to pass out. Something's wrong. Like, I'm about to pass out. I'm dying. And she's just like, well, what do you want to go to the hospital? And like she didn't know what to do, because to her, I looked like myself. I wasn't red. My eyes weren't going in the back. I mean, I presented as a normal person, but mentally, there was something going on with me that nobody could see. Only I could feel it. So I instantly she was like, well, we'll just go. It's a medical center on site. Go there. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just go to the medical center, have them check me out. Okay, so I tell my boss, like, something's wrong. I need to go to the medical center. I go to the medical center. They take my blood pressure. It's high as shit. They was like, well, your blood pressure is super high. I said, you think? I feel like I'm dying. And they was like, well, your heart rate is really high. Everything's really high. We want to do an EKG because everything's really high. So I was like, okay, do it. Maybe my heart is stopping. Something's wrong. And as I'm sitting here, I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, please don't let this be it for me. Please. Like, in my mind, I'm close to death. In my mind, it never even crossed my mind that it could be anxiety or pain. Like, I didn't even know what any of that shit was. I just knew I felt like the world was about to fall on my head. So they did an EKG, but I was like, I couldn't even sit still. It was like, we can't do it. You won't sit still. I was like, because I'm scared. I feel like I'm about to die. Like, I can't sit still when you feel like you're about to. If I sit still, it's going to get worse. Like, I'm going to start feeling like I got to pass out. So they were like, well, we can't do the EKG. you got to go to an emergency room or something because your blood pressure is high, your heart rate is high, something's wrong. You need to go figure out what it is. So I was like, okay, I mean, anything that would help me, I was willing to do. So I called my mom. I was like, look, Mom, you got to take me to an emergency room. I called my daughter's father and told her he had to pick her up. He was upset. We got into it. I'm like, look, something emergency is going on with me. I don't know what it is. I have to go to the hospital. Please, can you pick her up for me? He was like, okay, I'll pick her up, go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. The whole ride there, it's just the worst. I can't even describe the feeling. But if you ever felt like you were dying or you were panicking or your heart was going to come out of your chest, that's how I felt times a million. Times a million. So we got to the hospital. I got to the emergency room, and they checked my blood pressure. It was super high. It was like 180 over something. So they was like, yeah, we need to take a look at you. We need to see. But they were taking forever. You know how emergency rooms are. If you're not like dying, they not gonna rush to see you. But my mom, I started complaining. I started saying, look, something wrong with me. By then they took my pressure again. It had went down. So then they even were like, we're not going to rush to see you. Your pressure's down now. You're okay. Just wait. So I waited and I waited. And the whole time I keep going into the bathroom and saying a prayer to God and saying, God, please just let me be here for my daughter. Please don't let me leave my child. Please don't take me yet. Please, I'm not ready yet. I just had a baby. Please. So, I'm sorry, but it was just the worst. It was just the worst thing I've ever been through. Like, to have that just come out of nowhere, I don't even know how I got through that day. If it wasn't for my daughter, I would have just let the darkness take me. At least in my mind, I was pushing through it for her. So the doctor finally came. She took a look at me. She ran tests. She took blood. She did every test she could possibly do within that time period. She was able to do the EKG. She was able, to really take a look at me, and all the tests were coming back normal. She was like, Ms. We can't find nothing wrong with you. Your EKG is fine. You're not about to have a heart attack. I mean, have you ever prayed that something was medically wrong with you just so you can know what the hell was wrong with you? Every time she came back and said, this test is normal, there's nothing wrong, I was upset. Who gets upset about a test being normal? Somebody who don't know what the fuck is going on with themselves and they need answers. That's who. So she was like, I know what this is and I'm ready to make my diagnosis. And she said, this is an anxiety attack. I didn't even know what the fuck that was. A who? What the fuck is an anxiety? I was just so shocked. I was like, well, do I get mad? She said, I can prescribe you some lorazepam or some shit like that, but that shit is addictive. And I mean, unless you're in a manic state, I really recommend that you don't take that. So I'm like, by this point, I had calmed down enough to be okay, but I was still freaking out because I'm like, something just happened to me and I don't know what it is. So I went home. My daughter's father brought her home and we got into it real bad, but that's a whole nother story. I decided to let my mom take my daughter to date, where she was being watched the next day. And I was going to go back to the doctor and actually see somebody because I just couldn't go back to work the next day. I needed to know what happened to me. So I went to sleep. And when I woke up that morning, Jesus, I felt a sadness I had never felt before in my life. I've been heartbroken. I've lost someone that I loved and grieved. But when I woke up that next morning, it was like happiness had been erased from the world. I just don't even know how to describe it. It was depression. I woke up the next day and I was depressed. Like, I'm talking about, I felt bad. I didn't even understand how I got so low that quick. It was like, what? Like, I remember my mother was getting my daughter ready, and I'm just waking up, and I'm just so sad. Like, just sad. So I go to the doctor. You know, I'm hoping that they can give me some answers, that they can help me. They take more tests. They try to check my thyroid to see if whatever. I don't even know what the. Everything's normal. Again, I'm frustrated because everything's normal. Nothing is telling me what I need to know, what this is, why this happened to me, why do I feel sad, what is wrong with me? I'm screaming inside, somebody just tell me what is going on with me. Like, I was just fine yesterday. I was just fine a couple of days ago. I went to the casino, I got drunk, I had a good time, my life was fine. So what is this? I don't understand. I mean, this is what is going on inside of me. And nobody could tell me what to do. All they came back and said was, we think this is anxiety, postpartum, whatever, and you need to go talk to, a psychiatrist, and we can recommend some people. I lost all hope at that moment. I didn't want to go talk to nobody. I didn't need to talk to no psychiatrist. I just needed you to tell me what was medically wrong with me, give me some pills, and fix it. That's all I needed for them to do. And they couldn't do that. And I could not understand why that was so hard for a doctor to do. And it just got worse from there. I started getting sadder, having more anxiety, feeling an anxiety feeling. It just spiraled so quickly. I don't even know how to describe it. Every day I was sad. I would be crying all day for no reason, just crying. I would just be so fucked up and sad and depressed. And I could not get out of it. I couldn't feel better. There wasn't anything wrong with my life. I was young. I had a beautiful baby. I had a job. I mean, me and her dad weren't in perfect condition, but hey, he was decent to me. And, I didn't look too bad. I didn't feel like I was an ugly bitch. And, I had friends and I had a good mother and a good support system. But I just got so depressed every day. So I tried to go back to work. I tried to get back to my normal life. But every day it just got worse and worse and worse. I just felt sadder and sadder to the point where I wouldn't be able to sit at my desk without having to run to the bathroom to cry. Because I didn't know what else to do. I was in so much pain and agony inside. I didn't know what to do. So I just tried to get through it. So you know what I did? I started drinking. I mean, I was already drinking before. I didn't breastfeed long. So drinking was a comfort to me as far as it would help me, right? It would make me feel better, but I'll get into that later. Anyway, things weren't getting better. I was getting sadder and sadder, coming home crying, waking up crying, sitting on the couch crying. Anything I was doing, I was crying. Just for no reason. I was just depressed. And I'm having anxiety attacks, waking up in the middle of the night, my heart beating out my chest. Like, I couldn't eat no more. I stopped eating. I was losing weight. I was just fucked up. Like, I have some pictures and maybe I'll insert them. I don't know, but probably not because they're horrible. But one day I was at work, and where I worked, I had a coworker who sat beside me, and she kind of knew what I was going through because she was sitting in the office with me. So one particular day, I just was at my desk. I couldn't even go in the bathroom and cry. I was just at my desk crying. I couldn't hide it. I couldn't even hide it anymore. That's how bad it was, that I couldn't even get through a day at work without just being a mess. So she was like, you can't sit here like this. Like, I can't have you sitting here fucked up like this. She said, I gotta take you somewhere. So she started going online looking for walk-ins with psychiatrists, looking for anywhere where she can just take me and get me some help. She found somewhere that would take a walk-in, and we left work. It was like midday. She told everybody, she said, I'm taking her to go get some help. She needs some help. I'm taking her. We both leaving. And everybody was like, okay, go, y'all go do what y'all gotta go do. So she drove me to the place. She sat in there with me for over it must have been like an hour or two before I finally saw a psychiatrist. And I get into the psychiatrist's office. I'm crying, because I'm always crying, because I'm fucking a mess. Tell him everything, the whole spiel. So, he's taking notes, not really interested in what I'm saying, but he's taking his little notes, and he's like, okay. So I think I know what this is. This is postpartum depression. Yeah, that's what you got. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna prescribe you some Zoloft. I was like, will that help me? I didn't even know what antidepressants were. I just was like, will it help me? Like, will it help me? And he was like, yeah, give it time. It'll work. It'll help. But I really didn't care. All I knew was that I had hope. It was hope. So I went and got it prescribed, went and got the medication right away, and I realized I couldn't drink on the medication, but that wasn't a big deal because I was like, well, if the medication gonna help me, I don't need to drink. So I took the pill and prayed. Of course, it didn't work right away, but during this time, my daughter's father came to me. His mother is a nurse, and he came to me and he said, look, I don't want you taking the Zoloft shit. I've heard some horror stories. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and people said it was okay, but he said there are a lot of people that get fucked up off this medication and they don't come back from it. So I felt like all my hope was taken again. Like, I had hope. Now you trying to take it away. Like, don't take it away. I need it. I can't make it too much longer like this. So I was like, I gotta give this a chance. So I took it again. Third day I took it. It was a Saturday. The day before Easter. And I had the worst manic episode of my life. I could not function. I was outside my apartment on my back porch, running around outside, looking crazy. My brain felt like it was on fire, like I was in a fucking alien's body. Like, I was outside just like, I don't know what to do with myself. I can't. My mother is in there holding my infant daughter, mind you, and she's looking at me like she don't know what to do. She calls her mother, my grandmother, and she's like, what do I do? Do I call, a hospital? I don't know what to do for her. I don't know what to do for her. So I'm outside, I'm crying, I'm screaming, I'm running around, I'm manic, I'm tripping hard. You would have thought I had just smoked some boat, or I had just taken an eep. Like, I had just done some hard ass drugs. I was sober and I was tripping. The only thing I had taken was the fucking Zoloft. That's it. Nothing else. I wasn't drinking with the Zoloft. I wasn't smoking no weed. Nothing. Just the Zoloft. And come back in the house, trying to calm myself down. My mother is sitting there holding my daughter. And she looks at me, and I never forget, she looks at me, she has my beautiful little girl in her arms. And she's like, you know, do you not love your daughter? Do you not want to be here for her? What are you doing? Do you love this little girl? Do you not want to be here for her? Because I'm about to call somebody to come get you and take you to a crazy place. She was like, because I don't know what to do. I love you. I don't know what to do. Do you want to be her mom? What are you doing? And I just looked at my daughter, and I was like, you think I don't want to be her mom? Like, you think that I don't love my baby? This is the only reason why I'm fighting. And I looked at my daughter and I said, I gotta get through this shit. I can't let this shit take me down. I can't let this shit win. I got the pills, flushed them motherfuckers down the toilet, and I said, all right, God. I'm tired and it hurts, but I'm giving it to you and I'm gonna get through this. I said, every day, I'm gonna get through this. Flushed them pills down the toilet, came in there and held my daughter, and I prayed. I prayed that God would get me through it and that I would be okay so I could be there for my child. But I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what was really wrong. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. That was another thing. I didn't understand what I was going through. So, next day I woke up, I said it again. God, I'm giving it to you. I'm not doing nothing else. I'm just giving it to you. And I felt a little better that day. It was Easter. I'll never forget it. Next day again, didn't feel too good. I was depressed, but I woke up again with the same attitude. God, I'm giving it to you. However I get through this, I'm giving it to you. Every day I woke up with that same mentality that I wasn't going to carry this burden alone. That I was going to give it to Jesus. I wasn't going to take no medication. I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to give it to God and let him hold it and just get through this. And I swear to you guys, I swear, every day it got a little easier. Every day I got a little bit better. So this is the first part of my story. I did end up having a second breakdown after that, and that one was a lot worse, but it was my fault. So this is part one. I'm going to tell you part two, and I'm going to tell you how I really beat this shit and how you can do it too. So until the next video, I just hope this first part of my story shows you how quickly some shit like that can happen to you. How you can be a perfectly normal person and that shit can hit you hard. So stay tuned for part two. I'm really going to keep getting deeper part. If you think that part one, this part that I just told you was deep, part two is a lot worse. 10 times of what I went through during my second breakdown. But my second breakdown was my fault.